used to express themselves. And now it's time for these trainers to express themselves on the battlefield.
It's going to be a Garchomp and Talonflame made a classic lead combo against the Maushold and the Como. So immediately, two dragons staring off against each other. Como it's not the body press iron defense set, so it's not going to take any dragon-type attacks from the Garchomp that well. The Maushold does have the follow me, can redirect. Talonflame, of course, on Ranieri's side, does have the taunt, so it can go for that taunt onto the Maushold, prevent it from being able to support its teammates. The Maushold can also just go for a Super Fang and chunk away 50% of the health.
When Maushold uses Super Fang, I wonder which of them bites, or do all of them do it at the same time? Well, all of the philosophical questions coming out from Maushold. But Earthquake doesn't mind about any follow-me's. It's just a spread-type move, and decent damage onto both of Nils' Pokemon here. Super Fang, there it is. Keep a close eye as to which of them is actually doing the biting, but that's Garchomp's Rough Skin dealing that little bit of chip damage back in return. Just an immediate Clang Scales coming out from Nils' Como there, deciding this Garchomp has to go now.
Yeah, a really nice turn from Nils, maybe recognizing that a possible taunt might be coming off from this Talonflame. Go for the really safe Super Fang. And Garchomp, just going to have a quick look. It is Terra Steel on Ranieri's side, so that's not going to help against the Super Fang. But of course, had that Garchomp had gone for the Terra Steel, it would have been able to survive that clanging scales.
Yeah.
So many clangs coming out.
So many clangs, and yet no cling clang or cling clangs going out in Scarlet and Violet. And now Nils here already removed a key piece over on Ranieri's side of the field. Interesting to see the Como going for the immediate clanging scales. But again, once you've chipped away at your opponent's team, that's the flexibility it offers you. You don't need to boost up. You don't need to spend your resources doing that if you know there's a good knockout that you can take.
Como in a really good position against the Golden Go. Its ability, I believe this one is the soundproof set. Oh, no, It's not a bulletproof set. So it can get hit by the Golden Go from the Shadow Ball. So Como now, with its defenses dropped, it's not going to have a great time against the Talonflame, but or the Golden Go. So maybe Nils might want to think about a bit of a switch up here.
Nils really bringing that timing down to the wire. Let's see if it was the correct thing to lock into, as the Como is going to light the way for us here at the Gdańsk Regional Championships. Is gone for its Terra Fire, upping the ante and the heat, turning it up on the field right now. Golden Go doesn't like that one bit. Just goes for the protect. Keep yourself safe on this turn here in Swiss Round 8 of Gdańsk, our final one of the day. Maushold doing one of the things it does best, going for Follow Me, becoming the center of attention there. And taunt now into the Maushold, so Maushold no longer able to go for any more Follow Me's until that taunt wears off.
It's not the worst for the Maushold. It still has access to the Super Fang, which can chunk away at the Talonflame. Now, the Golden Go isn't really going to mind against the Maushold going for the Super Fang. In fact, the Como, having gone for the Terra Fire, it can survive all the Steel-type moves, and you would be taking neutral hits from this Talonflame's flying types and will be resisting any fire types. But Como on the field, it can also go for a Flamethrower, and there's no redirection on Ranieri's side. And now the Flamethrower is boosted by the Terra Fire, so that is something that Ranieri might want to consider and protect his Golden Go a little bit more.
Yeah, you also now, of course, cannot go for Follow Me on your Maushold if you're Nils and redirect any Shadow Balls away. That would be doing no damage into the Maushold, being a normal-type Pokemon. Deciding to switch out the Maushold to get its supportive potential back online on a future turn. For now, Nils' own Talonflame is going to swoop down onto the field. Both these Firebirds facing off against each other, as the Como will just be keeping itself safe here. And Brave Bird was targeting down into that slot. Now neutral damage, as you said, Zoe. That is a move that deals recoil damage too. And Shadow Ball also targeting down into the Como there. So really safe switch for Nils.
Wow, what a fantastic play from Nils, just baiting out both these attacks onto the Como. Now that leaves the question, who is the braver Talonflame? Which bird is braver? Talonflame on Nils' side has full health, so it will get a priority Tailwind or a Brave Bird off if it chooses to go for any flying type moves. And we get a little sneak peek of Nils' Pokemon in the back, that Sneasel and the Maushold. Now that it's switched out, it can come back in and start redirecting again. Talonflame, not particularly threatened by the Golden Go. It hasn't been set up at all. Now, this Talonflame from Nils' side does not... Oh, it does have Overheat, so it can heavily threaten the Golden Go. But Ranieri Ranieri hasn't gone for a Terror, so that is an option you can consider.
Yeah, really interesting to see that on Nils' Talonflame here, or yes, Nils' Talonflame here, with a physical move in dual wing beat, as well as special with Overheat. Not too often that you see that, but it's time for a responding terrestrialization from Ranieri. Time for Golden Go now to switch up its typings and become a water type, embracing our maritime theme here in Gdańsk, taking a splash. And Golden Go is ready to have its type matchups completely flipped on its head as Tailwind comes out from Nils' side, boosting up the speeds.
Now that the Terror has been baited out on Ranieri's side, actually I was going to say Super Fang could knock out, but the Maushold is just going to go down to this Brave Bird from Ranieri's Talonflame, and that is Maushold down, so no more Friend Guard, no more redirection, but Talonflame is going to have to take a Shadow Ball for its troubles. Yeah, and takes a huge amount of damage from that as well, but crucially, Ranieri's own Tailwind peters out there, so Nils has the advantage, and he's broken the Gale Wings ability over on Ranieri's Talonflame too, so it doesn't have the option for going for a priority Tailwind. Maybe you'd be able to knock it out before it would be able to get that set up. Now that Talonflame and the Como-O are up in Tailwind against the Ranieri's Talonflame and Golden Go. Now, I don't believe Ranieri has gone for a Tailwind on his side, so there is no speed advantage here. And the Talonflame is going to actually withdraw from Ranieri's side, so maybe deciding he wants to save it for now and bring out another Pokemon. Yeah, the Tailwind expired on that very turn for Ranieri, so very much the speed advantage in Nils' court here. The attack is going to be dropped of the Talonflame. Como doesn't matter too much because it is a special attacker for Nils. Dual Wing Beat was connecting down into Golden Go, now taking neutral damage from that, being a Terra Water type now, and Clanging Scales. The Golden Go once more going to be safe, but the Incineroar certainly will not be, and huge damage coming out, good for about a quarter of its HP. Yeah, Como-O now once again at -1 defense. It can't really do too much to this Incineroar, and Incineroar quite free to just come in, go for maybe a parting shot, a fake out. Now at this stage, it can enable this Golden Go to start going for those nasty plots. The Golden Go hasn't actually managed to make any attacks. It launched the Shadow Ball at this Talonflame, but without that +2 special attack from the nasty plot, that's something I think Ranieri is really going to want to think about going for. Well, Protect coming out from Como right now from Nils' side of the field. No boost to speak of yet, but maybe in a future turn. Dual Wing Beat now, good for a little bit of chip damage onto this Golden Go. I love how Ranieri is pivoting the pieces around in the face of Nils Dunlop, such an established player at this point in the scene. Not being phased as Golden Go has a light bulb moment, getting that nasty plot off, and Talonflame has to take the parting shot from Incineroar there, getting a reduction to its offensive prowess for Nils. Talonflame is quite heavily neutralized now. It's at -2 physical attack, and its Overheat will not be doing very effective damage to this Golden Go. So Golden Go in a really nice position, and now in comes this Talonflame. I believe the Tailwind just expired, or is going to expire on this turn. So now there will be no more speed advantage. I think on the next turn, maybe the next turn or two expiring for Nils there, yeah. Yeah, so the Como-O, it can't really touch the Golden Go right now. The Throat Spray was, it had the boost, but then it switched out, so it lost that boost. So it will be doing just neutral damage to the Golden Go, and Golden Go in a really, really nice position. Might not want to start going for Maker Rains, but Shadow Ball is going to be hitting really, really hard, and Como is not bulletproof, it is soundproof, so it will be hit by that Shadow Ball. Yeah, really interesting to see the soundproof come out on Como. I guess it improves your matchup into opposing Como if they were to go for the Clanging Scales, or indeed Clangorous Soul there to a certain extent, but interesting to get Nils' opinion on soundproof versus bulletproof. Whatever kind of proof it is, he's proving that he is an incredible Pokemon trainer as Incineroar rejoins the field right now. So Talonflame, as you were saying, Zoe, has an even worse day at the office right now. Another drop to its physical attack here. Golden Go is able to scout out once more, going for a Protect. Both these trainers knowing what's on the line here, win and in to progress to day 2 tomorrow. The other unlikely to be able to do that. And Clanging Scales once more. Again, every bit of chip damage matters. Yes, onto this Incineroar. It does really nice amount of damage onto this Incineroar. It is now at -2, so even a Fake Out at this stage is going to be doing quite a bit to this Como. Como can just go for the Protect and burn out that turn of Fake Out, and there goes the Tailwind that peters out. Talonflame might want to to think about, could set up another Tailwind, because at this stage, its damage is so heavily neutralized that it might just want to set up the Tailwind and get off the field and allow its teammates to do their job.
Yeah, we still have an unrevealed Pokemon for Nils as well, lurking in the back. So it'll be interesting to see if that is the key piece that Nils needs to secure this matchup right now. But again, I'm really impressed with how both these trainers are just pivoting around. They are proving themselves a match for each other. And that is, of course, what brings out the best in us. Pokemon rivals are there throughout the franchise, but rivals for Pokemon just means a trainer who inspires you to do your very best like no one ever did. And Como just going for the Protect.
Yeah, Protect just burning out that turn of Tailwind, but Talonflame getting that Tailwind off, indicating the Incineroar did not go for the Fake Out. Golden Go going for the Shadow Ball is going to come into the Protect on Como, so keep itself safe. It looks like Incineroar now going for the parting shot onto this Talonflame at -4 attack. This Talonflame, I think it'll just be tickling its opponents with a feather at this point.
Yeah, feather touch coming out from the Talonflame indeed. And Ranieri again able to pivot around here. This is something we often see in the EU scene. It tends to be said that EU players more pivoting around, reducing stats, getting your pieces in the right position rather than stepping on the gas too early. That's certainly what Ranieri's doing here. The same can't be said for Nils based on the way they were playing back in Lille when they won just 2 weeks ago. We've got the reveal for us of the final Pokemon in the back for Nils. It is going to be the Sneasler, and it's finally time for it to get cheeky on the field as it hits it right now.
Oh, Sneasler on the field. Now that the Golden Go is no longer a Steel type, it can be hit with Talonflame getting knocked out by the Clay Soul. So this Como, it's being allowed to stay on the field for so long at -3 defense. And it's going to take a Shadow Ball for its troubles. I don't think it's going to survive that. And there we go. Como getting knocked out by the +2 from this Golden Go.
I do like how Nils has played this, though, because getting the Sneasler in there, I mean, the Incineroar about to join the field, but of course Sneasler has the White Hook, and so it's going to instantly restore its dropped attack and have that attack intact for the rest of the game, barring any parting shots here. Both these trainers, their health bar's dwindling, although the Golden Go, thanks to all of the protects and holding the leftovers, its HP bar is slowly but surely getting all the way back up. The Incineroar joins once more. Really tense endgame here, and it's only game 1 here in Swiss Round 8.
Now the question becomes, once this Golden Go gets hit with the Die Claw, which presumably will be happening at some point, is it going to get a status effect? Make Good as Gold is only an ability that prevents status moves. It doesn't prevent any status conditions.
No.
So Sneasler very free to get that Die Claw off. The Incineroar, having just freshly switched in, can go for a Fake Out just to make sure that he's shutting down either one of Nils' Pokemon, but that does leave, Sneasler or the Talonflame free. Talonflame, of course, at -1 attack with a dual Wing Beat, can't really do too much. So at this point, I think Sneasler will be the main damage dealer for Nils.
Yeah, how do you get through this Golden Go if you are Nils? At least you can target it down with a close combat now. Of course, the Throat Chop was once super effective, no longer. Ranieri going to buy themselves a turn by making the Sneasler flinch, maybe trying to knock it out on this turn. Wing Beat, yeah, as you said, Zoe, that Incineroar is laughing in the face of that dual Wing Beat, certainly feeling a little bit ticklish right now. And Ranieri able to go for a big make it rain. Enough for the knockout onto the Sneasler, and huge congratulations to Ranieri for taking that game 1.
Very, very well played from Ranieri. There were so many switches going on during the middle of the game, and we were, just gradually pivoting into a better position. And Nils also just made it very, very difficult for his opponent. But ultimately, Ranieri just got that slight edge over Nils, making the better pivots and recognizing the Golden Go is a really key piece in that matchup. Once it got boosted with a nasty plot, it was able to just start sweeping through Nils' team.
Yeah, especially with the Terra Water as well, and I'd love to see Rillaboom coming out from Nils, because of course it's threatening super effective pre-terrestrialization with high horsepower into Golden Go, and then afterwards certainly with Grassy Glide and Wood Hammer to boot too. So that could be something that Nils is looking at heading into this second game. Also though, would have loved to have seen more damage coming out from that combo, more set up and getting the offense really stepping on the gas in that game, which is something I feel like Nils is more known for. So it'd be interesting to see if they decide to really commit to that more hyper offense style of play heading into this game too.
I could really see the Rillaboom coming in as an adjustment for Nils. And Mouseop, it didn't do quite that much. It was able to Super Fang, but it just stayed on the field, and yes, it provided that Friend Guard support, but in the face of a Golden Go, Nils wasn't able to initially go for the Super Fang. And then later on, I guess you could say he switched it in to take the Brave Bird, which then allowed a free switch in, but I would want to see maybe a little bit more damage output from that mouse hold or whatever Pokemon that Niels chooses to bring in place of that mouse hold.
Yeah, and Ranieri was so oppressive with the Incineroar coming in and out and in and out with its parting shots and intimidates, leaving the ring, coming right back in. And that's something Niels wants to deal with sooner rather than later. It is nice, though, on Niels' Talonflame, they have the overheat option as well, so you're not just relying on the physical attack there. And yeah, as I say, it's rare that we see a mixed attacker in Pokemon VG, but very exciting indeed. But then, in terms of Ranieri, of course, maybe you're countering the counter mentally right now. You think, well, how is Niels going to adjust? How do I then adjust to that?
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I always really enjoy seeing Game 2s, how players choose to adapt. Some players completely switch it up. Some people want to stick to the exact same leads, but maybe have a bit of a different lead or different Pokemon in the back to respond to that. And sometimes it can work out really well, and other times it can backfire when your opponent leads something that was completely unexpected.
Yeah, well, I mean, got the sand mode coming out for Ranieri as well. There's that option on the field, and it's not like Niels can change the weather in this matchup. So it would be interesting to see if that's something that Ranieri leans into. But it's time, trainers. Let's get Game 2 kicked off. Potentially our last game of the day, barring any Game 3s, but only time will tell. It is going to be the Garchomp alongside the Talonflame, as well as Kommo-o and Sneasler.
A bit of a switch up there for Niels. Ranieri going for the same leads. Last turn, that Garchomp did get knocked out at the start of the game from that clanging scales. But this time there's a Sneasler on the field. Sneasler might not want to go for a Dire Claw onto the Garchomp because that resists it, but Dire Claw onto the Talonflame will do heavy damage. And combined with the Kommo-o going for the clanging scales, could just knock it out. Of course, Kommo-o does have to be careful about that Garchomp, which does carry super effective Dragon Claw. And with a Life Orb, it is going to hit really hard. But Sneasler also does have access to the Fake Out, so it could just Fake Out the Garchomp by a turn and potentially, if it goes for that option, it will potentially lose its Focus Sash because of the... Oh no, it's a White Herb. Never mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, Garchomp, of course, went down very early on the very first turn of that Game 1. Looks like it's not going to be doing that in this game because Garchomp going for the Protect here and Sneasler attempting to target it down with the Fake Out, leaving Talonflame free to go for a super effective Brave Bird into the Kommo-o. That is absolutely massive damage here and good recall for Niels onto the Talonflame too. Attempts to go for the Clangorous Soul, but of course it fails because it's already at such low HP. Going for a Clangorous Soul, which takes away a third of your health, would just knock it out.
Yeah, so a really fantastic turn for Ranieri there. For a really great protect, just scouting out what this Kommo-o is going to do. And Kommo-o, that turn, had it gone for the Clanging Scales, it would have gotten some damage onto the Talonflame. But of course, now that it's so heavily chipped, Kommo-o is going to withdraw. So Niels wanting to save it and bring out another Pokemon in the back end. It is that Rillaboom that you called out there, Charlie.
Yeah, Rillaboom, nice adjustment, especially into the Golden Go. But for a start, it has to deal with the Talonflame. It's not threatening much damage into that whatsoever. Of course, Niels could have gone for the Terra Fire on the previous turn, but then you're making yourself more vulnerable to ground-type moves coming out from the Garchomp, so a bit of a rock and a hard place. But this is a cheeky place for the Sneasler with that grin atop its head, going for the Terra Dark right now for Niels. Time to spend the Terra on that slot instead. Tailwind, making sure that Garchomp can act really fast here, and Sneasler now taking neutral damage from ground-type moves like this Earthquake, and it's mitigated further by the grassy terrain that Rillaboom set up.
Wow, look at how well this Sneasler took that Life Orb Garchomp's Earthquake. That now Dire Claw coming back in, not quite enough to knock out that Talonflame, and no status effects. Now both the Garchomp and the Sneasler and the Rillaboom are going to get some health back. Talonflame, of course, cannot get the health back because it's flying in the air. And Rillaboom now in a really good position, can go for the Fake Out. The Talonflame is a Covert Cloak, so it won't be flinched. And in this range, it probably won't get knocked out from a Fake Out, but those Grass-type moves are going to hit the Garchomp really hard with the Wood Hammer. And if Garchomp chooses to go for that Terra Steel, then it has to contend with a close combat from the Sneasler. So Rillaboom, a really nice adjustment from Niels.
Yeah, Garchomp, of course, a Dragon Ground dual type, so taking neutral damage from Grass-type moves. Time for Ranieri to reveal one of the Pokemon in the back, and surprise, it's the Incineroar that put in so much work for them in the previous game. Intimidate being dropped down onto both of these physical attackers, and of course the Sneasler with its White Herb, able to restore that attack right back to where it was. Rillaboom now going to retreat for Niels, and coming out instead will be the Kommo-o once more, essentially deciding it's time for the knockout on that Pokemon to provide a free switch and something in the back because it's on such low HP. But actually, Brave Bird targeting into the Sneasler, going to be enough for the knockout there.
Sneasler getting knocked out by the Brave Bird. Ranieri not falling for the bait there, allowing that heavily weakened Kommo to switch in. Talonflame also just taking a lot of recoil damage, so one more Brave Bird is going to knock it out. But it does allow Niels to bring in a fresh Pokemon in the back. We can see a Golden Go on Niels' side, but of course, Ranieri does not know that. He's only seen the Rillaboom, and Rillaboom now, free coming is faster than the Incineroar, so it can get the faster fake out off and buy a turn for this. Although the Kommo, so heavily chipped, is probably going to go down to a Brave Bird. So, maybe Niels hoping for the Kommo to get knocked out for free switch, but this is not the worst position for him, and Rillaboom is still very healthy, can get that fake out off, which can actually knock out the Talonflame at this range with the fake out.
Yeah, probably could, and interesting to see the Golden Go adjustment there in the back for Niels as well. Got to be careful though, because of course you've already spent your Terror on the Sneasler, and you've got a Talonflame and Garchomp on the Ranieri's side of the field, threatening big super effective damage into it, and an unrevealed Pokemon.
Yeah, the fake out, I think Niels looks like he's contemplating going for that fake out. Now, Ranieri can just switch out the Talonflame. He hasn't revealed his final two Pokemon, and there's a Garchomp in the back, which, if it switches in, takes that fake out, can give Rillaboom some recoil from the rough skin. So Niels, I have to be very, very careful about whether or not he does go for that fake out, but he's going down right to the timer. Niels, a player known for going down to time and just taking that time to think.
Yeah, a player after my own heart there. That's certainly, I take all the time I possibly can in order to decide. Golden Go the Chipper coming out for Niels right now. Let's hope it's feeling chipper enough to turn this match up around with Ranieri at the one-game advantage. Fake out connecting down into the combo slot that went for the Protect. So no damage there, no flinching either. Brave Bird is targeting into Niels' Golden Go. It's a Steel type, doesn't take too much damage at all. But once more, every little bit of chip adds up. And the recoil damage, even though Talonflame was solo anyway, because it did such little damage to the Golden Go, not enough to secure the knockout. That looks like 1 HP to me, Zoe.
That does indeed. Golden Go is still quite a bit threatened by the Incineroar. It can't really touch it, even if it tries to get a nasty plot up. Now, Niels has used up his Terra Dark on the Sneasler, so Golden Go can't actually Terra out of it. And at that range, Golden Go doesn't really enjoy facing off against Incineroar, especially when there's a super effective knockoff coming off in its way. And Kommo also not in the best position, but now that he's gained quite a bit of health back from that grassy terrain.
Yeah.
I was going to say grassy glide, but grassy terrain might be able to survive that Brave Bird from a Talonflame.
Yeah, it just goes to show all of this passive recovery really does stack up over time, just like it was on Ranieri's Golden Go with the leftovers in the previous game. But now it's time for Kommo to go to the bat once more. Niels really pivoting around with the pieces as carefully as they possibly can. Ranieri, of course, with the Pokemon advantage too, all 4 remaining. Golden Go just going to scout out here. Niels really taking the time they need to decide, but Brave Bird targets down into the Rillaboom. Super effective, and that's going to be the knockout on the Rillaboom with a critical hit. I really doubt that that mattered, but easily enough as well to take care of the Talonflame that was on such low HP thanks to the recoil.
Yeah, Niels not getting the best turn there, forced down to his final 2 Pokemon. This Kommo is, it can't really take any knockouts at the moment. We know that Ranieri has that Garchomp in the back, but without that Terra option, I believe this, Terra Fire, well, Garchomp, really, it can just go for a very safe Dragon Claw outspeeds, and then Incineroar can just easily go for the knockoff. So Niels really has his back against the wall, and I don't really see a way for him to come back from this game.
Yeah, Ranieri has been pivoting around so masterfully, playing this matchup so very well. Garchomp in exactly the position it wants to be here. You could even just go for the Earthquake, even though your Incineroar's on the field. Of course, you want to be using it next to the Talonflame that takes no damage, being a flying type and therefore immune to ground type moves. But Ranieri really with a big advantage here, but also don't want to get too carried away. I mean, the Kommo on such low health that I assume an Earthquake would be enough to secure the knockout, but not with the grassy terrain up. So perhaps Ranieri just wanting to stall that out a little bit.
Golden Go going for a Protect, but Dragon Claw coming off on this Kommo easily enough to get the knockout. And it's now all down to this Golden Go up against a Garchomp and an Incineroar and an unrevealed Pokemon in the back. And this Golden Go has a lot of work cut out for her. I don't don't really see a way it can clutch out a win for Nils.
No, I'd love to know what the final Pokemon is for Ranieri as well, but maybe that's a card that Ranieri is going to be able to keep close to their chest, because all of that information is huge heading into the next day of competition. You don't have that crucial bit of information for what Ranieri's game plan was in this one. Stomping Tantrum into the goal and go, enough to secure the knockout. Nils Dunlop, your Lille regional champion, has been felled. This Swiss round 8 here in Gdańsk, going over to Ranieri Calderari.
Well done, Ranieri. And congratulations on making it to day 2. Must be an amazing feeling on the Swiss final round and defeating Nils Dunlop, a titan of this meta